the next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpia run wild, brother. Let Trumpia rule again. Hulk Hogan spent years telling the world he was broke after his 2009 divorce. He claimed Linda took everything and left him with nothing. But when he died, investigators found something that didn't add up. He secretly owned two massive Clearwater mansions worth over $11 million total. The properties were hidden in trusts and shell companies. His medical records revealed he'd been battling blood cancer for months. Before I wrestled, I always kept a case of beer in the dressing room 'cause the boys never had that treat. But when I was around, I had that little bit of stroke back then. While his wife posted online that he was healing, the lies went deeper than anyone suspected, and the truth was just starting to come out. Hulk Hogan was born as Terry Jean Bollea on August 11, 1953 in Augusta, Georgia. When he was just 1.5 years old, his family moved to Port Tampa, Florida. His father, Petro Bollea, worked in construction. His mother, Ruth Moody, was a dance teacher. The real story of his body transformation began not in California but at a small place called Hector's Gym in Tampa. Still, Hogan allowed the Venice Beach lie to live on because it helped build the image people expected from a superstar. What made his story even heavier was that his older brother Alan died of a drug overdose in 1986 at just 38. That kind of loss, mixed with his father's blue-collar life, lit a fire inside Hogan. He didn't just want success, he needed it. Before wrestling, Hogan was chasing a dream in music. He played fretless bass guitar for nearly 10 years. In 1976, he helped form a band called Ruckus. It actually became well known around Tampa, but over time he couldn't help but stretch the truth. In a 2022 interview, he even claimed he tried to join the Rolling Stones and told someone close to him, C. Jagger, that he could play all their songs. He said he offered to show up if the band ever needed a bass player. He also claimed he almost joined Metallica. The strange part is his musical talent was real. He just kept making the story bigger, turning it into part of the same legend he used inside the ring. While his parents' divorce isn't clearly written about, the emotional pain from his family came out later in life. In March 2025, his daughter Brooke made a public statement saying she had cut ties with both parents. She said the verbal and emotional abuse she faced growing up was too much. His wife Linda backed it up and said they hadn't talked to Brooke in 8 years. Even worse, Hogan died in July 2025, never meeting his grandchildren. The show Hogan Knows Best once made them look like a loving family, but behind the scenes that family was falling apart. What played out on TV became a slow-motion collapse of everything he claimed to stand for. Hogan thought wrestling might be safer than working construction like his father, but he was wrong. His very first training session in 1977 ended with his leg being snapped by Hiro Matsuda, brutal trainer known for testing young wrestlers. It took Hogan 10 weeks to heal. When he came back, Matsuda tried to break his leg again, but this time, Hogan stopped him. That brutal kind of training was common back then. They wanted to see who could really take pain. Hogan believed wrestling would save him from injury, but it left him broken for life. His body never stopped paying the price. His famous name came from a strange moment on a Memphis talk show. Hogan was there with Lou Ferrigno, the star of the Incredible Hulk show. Standing side by side, the host pointed out that Hogan was even bigger than Ferrigno. A woman named Mary Jarrett was watching. She later gave him the nickname the Hulk. That moment changed everything. Before that, he had wrestled as Terry Boulder in a tag team, but when he became the Hulk, his new identity clicked. There was no lawsuit, no theft, no drama, just a moment on TV where he looked larger than life. Though Hogan never corrected the rumors. He liked the mystery. In 1977 he entered Hiro Matsuda's training facility, thinking he'd learn wrestling moves. Instead, Matsuda broke his leg on the first day. It wasn't an accident. Matsuda did it on purpose to test his toughness. Hogan was hospitalized and told he might not walk normally again. Most people never came back, but 6 weeks later, he limped back in and demanded to train again. That was when Matsuda started to respect him. That broken leg became the beginning of Hulk Hogan. 1 year before that injury in 1976, 23-year-old Hogan started using anabolic steroids. Other wrestlers introduced him to them. He already stood 6 feet 7 inches in tall and weighed 300 pounds, but the steroids took him to another level. He said under oath in 1994 that he used steroids from 1976 through the early 1990s. Locker rooms treated those drugs like candy. Hogan's body grew faster than anyone had seen before. He could train harder, heal faster, and fight longer. But it was also the start of an addiction that stayed with him through his prime and helped trigger the federal wrestling investigations of the 1990s. On the Arsenio Hall show in 1991, Hogan denied using steroids, but the truth came out later in court, and that lie followed him forever. From 1977 to 1979, Hogan worked in championship wrestling. From Florida, one of the toughest wrestling territories in the country, was run by Eddie Graham, who used a system called policemen. These were older wrestlers hired to hurt younger ones who didn't follow the rules. Hogan had to learn how to survive not just the matches but the backroom politics. The veterans could end your career if they thought you were disrespectful. He watched as older wrestlers sabotaged rookies and promoters played favorites like it was a game. That harsh education taught